Hey guys, this is Joel. Just wanted to say that our hearts go out to all the people affected by Hurricane Harvey. If there's anything you can do to help, donations, volunteering, please head over to bakerripley.org. They're assisting in the long-term recovery from Hurricane Harvey. Okay, what's up everybody? Welcome once again to Live with TGF, the GameFanatics.com's weekly podcast recorded live on twitch.tv and mixer.com/thegamefanatics. Please make sure to follow the channel so you catch us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. If you miss us live, no worries. Quit your crying and head over to youtube.com/thegamefanatics where we post the episode for your viewing pleasure later on in the week. I am your host, Joel Ramirez, and you can find me over at twitch.tv/loadlastcheckpoint. My guests tonight are Steph White.
Hi.
Steph, how's it going?
It's going great. Actually, what I was just playing and stuff, it's really good, formula for what we're talking today, so I'm excited.
Perfect. And where can people find you?
People can find me in a variety of places, in my house, in my bedroom, and but my two main places are going to be YouTube and on Twitch. It's twitch.tv, Annabeth Snow, and the youtube.com/thesnowwhite247. You guys want links to that? We can link them for you.
Yeah, if you want to type them in the chat, that'd be awesome. I will eventually get a bot to do that for us, but as time goes, things are hard to figure out.
Are you sure it's a bot and not an intern?
Ooh, that would be nice. Do I need an assistant?
Are they really the same thing, though?
I mean, they can't be.
I might need an assistant by now.
But that's where I mostly do stuff. If you want, go on my Twitter and all that. That is linked on my Twitch page. So go follow that. Then just follow me everywhere else. And I have no friends, so I would love that.
Perfect. All right. Also on the show tonight, Tyler Chansey.
The digital desperado return.
He is here. How's it going, Tyler?
How you doing, Joel?
Doing pretty good, man. Where can people find you?
You can find me at a lot of places. Obviously, you can read my reviews and my editing work at thegamefanatics.com. You can also follow me on Twitch at digidesperado26, all one word, where I do the occasional preview stream of a game I may be reviewing or tucking into my pile of shame. You can also follow me on Twitter at Darth Rahu, capital D, capital R, all one word. And I also do the writing thing on my personal blog at cybertavern.blogspot.com. Also, bit of a very tangential thing, I also do a second, much more informal podcast with another friend of mine, Michael Mosley, That Random Podcast Show. Season 3 has just gone up on Anchor and soon coming to Apple and Google Play. So give that a listen if you want me to more or less show my ass.
Yeah, that is quite the list. I'm assuming everyone could just go to your Twitter and find links to all that stuff there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I'm a shameless huckster with that. You can just follow me on Twitter and cut out the middleman.
Perfect. Twitter is kind of like your assistant.
More like an assistant that every now and then screams at the top of its lungs and then takes a deuce on the table while yelling anti-Semitism.
Huh.
Oh,
sounds like my uncle.
All right, also on the show and our final guest on the show tonight, Kyle Fisher. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, that was a perfect segue. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Where can people find you?
Thank you, Steph's uncle.
I got a Twitch. I haven't really been using it lately. I've been getting ready. Been working a lot, so I haven't really been able to do it. But twitch.tv/Kyle Talk Record. And everywhere else is just Kyle Talk. Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
Perfect. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Also, Joel, I will say something. Look on the little Twitch here, and I think something's missing.
Yes, it is.
I did notice that. I tried to check what it was, but it's not. It's nothing on here because even if I move it around, your name doesn't show up.
Okay, see how it is.
So I don't know if you have to jump out of the voice and then jump back in. Try it. See what it.
Yeah,
see what
sure.
happens.
No, I think you got the hint.
Get out.
Aww. Come
There
on.
she is.
Just books it.
I was about to-
Oh All
I
right.
was about to say, man, she's full of fire and vinegar. I like having her on, man.
No, me too.
All right, guys, we got a pretty good topic for tonight. One that's kind of been so there was this huge thing with Shadow of War that happened a few weeks ago where they have microtransactions that kind of caused a huge like uproar. So I kind of wanted to wait for that to kind of settle down, and then I went on to pre-order my games that I'm gonna play this fall for me and then my son, of course, big gamers. But I was kind of noticing some things, and I thought it'd be a great topic to talk about all around. So we're gonna talk about pre-orders, DLC, season passes, and loot boxes, and just different things about them. Maybe each person kind of give their own opinion. So we'll start on like pre-orders. So pre-orders first. Why you think they're good for gaming? Why you think they're bad? What's the stigma with them? What benefits they could have? So I say let's go around the table here, which is an imaginary table that I've made up in my head because I'm a sick person.
Imagination.
And let's kind of just have a pretty cool, roundtable discussion about it. So, Kyle, pre-orders. What is your take on them? Do you do it? Do you partake? Do you think they're terrible? Do you think they're stupid? Do you do digital? Let us know.
Yeah, so I do digital only for most of my games, but I don't pre-order anything. I don't trust pre-orders. I don't think they're good for consumers, but I do think they're good for the developers so that they know like how much to expect on like opening day, release day. So I think that they're good for like servers and everything like that. Like games like Friday the 13th, it's like notorious for not expecting to have as many sales as they had. Right. So if they had a lot of pre-orders, maybe that would help them.
That was one thing I heard a lot about.
Yeah,
that was like it was one of those perspectives that I don't think a lot of people really look at. It's like, when people RSVP to your party, how many people to expect there, how much food you need to have, stuff like that. And that's kind of, I think it was Andrea Renee was talking about that on Kind of Funny Games Daily when that came up, and it kind of blew my mind open. Even though I'm sure I've thought about that before, I never really kind of took it as one of the main reasons why pre-orders might be super important.
Yeah, it's basically so for single player games maybe not as much, but definitely for like Destinies or like Call of Duties. I mean, Destiny already knows that they're gonna have like a massive influx of people coming, but maybe more so for like lower tier games. But overall, I don't think they're great. I think it encourages gouging the customer a little bit too much.
Do you feel like you do you pre-order games on digital right now, or
no? I'll usually get them
like
the day before. Yeah, like right before. Like I guess it technically is pre-ordering, but I'll get them the day before just so you still get the pre-order bonuses.
Oh, see, that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if you do it for like really cool pre-order bonuses.
Yeah, I'll usually wait till like the very last minute for that, but yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, they're not like the worst thing in the world, but they're also, I mean,
not the best thing in the world.
Not the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they kind of have their or their good things, their bad things.
Yeah, I would rather have like stable servers on day one, but I mean that never happens anyways. So in theory, that's what they're for, but I don't know. I don't know if it's used that way.
Yeah. Steph, what about you? What are pre-orders to you?
Pre-orders, I'm gonna be like an innocent little bunt with this. I'm not gonna rage against them. Are they super needed as much anymore? Because of stuff like YouTube and Twitch, I don't really think so. People do wait for popular streamers and non-popular streamers alike to see how the game is before they even buy it, to save their money, which is, again, good, self-conscious. But as Kyle said, they are, again, needed from our developers to see who is thinking about buying it. And just because someone pre-orders doesn't mean they're going to buy it. They could be just, again, put it on hold. But I think that they still are important because there's so many people in different franchises. They want to make sure to get the game. Like this, they're not as important anymore, and I feel like people care more. Oh, if you pre-order, you'll get this, this, and this. I think pre-order should be just like, just pre-order it so you get the game and enjoy the game. I feel like they try to add too much fluff to try to get people to pre-order. But if you're trying to push people for the pre-order, then is it truly a game that they would want? I'm not sure if that's making sense.
Yeah, like you think pre-orders should go back to being what they were meant to be in the beginning, which was just a reserve. Like, I want to reserve my copy.
I just want to reserve my copy because I think the game's good. If they don't think the game's good originally and you have to add extra stuff, it's like McDonald's. If a kid comes in only for the toy and not the food, then what's the point of the Happy Meal, to be honest?
Or you give them a crappy toy.
Yeah, I mean, those crappy toys are kind of fun, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But
So I do appreciate the analogy that the pre-order bonus is a crappy Happy Meal toy.
it really is,
I have a ton of those stupid emojis all over my house from the stupid emoji movie.
I feel so bad for you, Kyle.
You made a good point there with the like the reserve. I remember when I was a kid, I used to always pre-order just because I knew the game was going to sell out or something. So
yeah,
way
before there was digital purchasing, or even when it just started out, you had to pre-order your copy because you would go to the store and they would be gone. And nowadays, everywhere you can reserve a
download it.
Yeah, now you can just download it, but also like you can pre-order everywhere, and it's kind of nuts. But I just remember there was a day, and it was probably, maybe early like PS3 and Xbox 360, where it's like, I have to pre-order this or else they're gonna run out and I'm not gonna get my copy.
Okay.
But yeah, that's basically it. Now with the digital era, it's not like you really needed to pre-order, which is why they're adding all this fluff and stuff. But again, pre-order's still important. I rarely did pre-order. The only one I did was Overwatch because I was following it 2 years prior of it coming out, so I was super excited. I was just like, I know this is going to be good because it feels different. And also Yoshi's Woolly World because it was adorable. And games like Mario and stuff, I feel like even if they're like the super shit game, you can still enjoy them. So even if you pick it up, you're not really too disappointed.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is just because you pre-order it, you don't have to pick it up unless you like paid it all. Then I guess it'll be kind of stupid not to. But again, at most you have $5. You put down, and then you can always change your mind. And
nope, you have to buy it. How dare you change your mind? That is a promise you made to the retailer.
Yeah.
The retailer doesn't owe you jack.
I feel like all that stuff they give you, like actually, when I downloaded Horizon Zero Dawn, I spent the extra $10 to go like the outfits and little stuff because I enjoyed it for like part of the or like the first day was a day one versions as they called them, too. I think it's fun, but again, it's all aesthetic.
Yeah.
Barely anything that this pre-order stuff has to do with the physical game. So basically, unless you think you're going to fall in love with the game and the store's going to run out, like at the job I work at Best Buy, the day Crash Bandicoot came out, so many people were picking that up already, but the day that other games came out, not many people were doing it. So it just, again, depends on how popular the game, the nostalgia, all that little stuff. It's not as pure, I hope this game's going to be amazing. And the horror of No Man's Sky kind of made everyone open their eyes. So.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Mr. Tyler, pre-order, sir. What do you think?
Am I live?
You are.
Yes.
You are alive.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm kind of the same mind of Steph when it comes to pre-order. For me, pre-orders as a whole are not a bad idea. It makes sense. You want to be sure you have your copy of the game ready to go, so you can pick it up whenever you can. But the thing is, I usually pre-order stuff if I know it's going to be in a limited quantity. Like the very first time I actually remember pre-ordering something, it was not for Pokemon or Call of Duty or whatever. It was a beyond obscure game on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, Way of the Samurai 3, because I played the original two of them on the PS2. Yeah. I actually enjoyed those. It was probably the closest thing to Bushido Blade, I guess, that kind of got me into it. I enjoyed that style of gameplay. And the minute I heard, oh look, it's a next gen one, and the thing is, they kept pushing back the release date and changing things up, and it was a very, very, very niche game. And I'm like, you know what? I want to be sure I have my copy. And from there, that's basically been my rule of thumb. Like, Steph, as you said, you want to be sure you have your copy, but I'm actually going to put on airs. Games like Call of Duty or Mario, those are big titles. There are going to be plenty of copies, and if a store does sell out of copies of them, that's an exception more than the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to pre-ordering bonuses, pre-ordering incentives, I find it to be kind of gross.
No, I get why it's kind of gross, this pre-order, because they're like extra selling themselves out, and they should trust the games. But at the same time, in a business standpoint, I understand.
From a business perspective, that makes plenty of sense. But it's when they start upping the ante for what you have to pre-order. Like, this actually happened to me. I actually pre-bought We Happy Few. Like, I bought the version through GOG and started playing that. And then. And I did give feedback. I was a proper, guy. It's like, hey, work on this. This area could use a bit of work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I found out about their partnership with Gearbox Software to publish it as a major game.
Oh, and I didn't know that. Sorry.
Yeah, they did that. And then suddenly, with partnering with Gearbox, they started doing pre-order bonuses with the thing. And I know this is a very niche, very isolated thing, but part of me actually wanted to get my money back and actually not deal with this, because I've gotten to the point where I've become so adverse to over-marketed, over-hyped pre-order culture. It turns me off. Like, unless it's for a limited run of a limited edition, I don't touch it. It's just, I don't want this. I don't want to put up with all this. I don't want to deal with, pre-order now and get the super hyper edition special skin gun that will be on the store for $6 2 weeks down the line. Like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to handle it. I don't want to encourage this. I know it's a losing fight, one teardrop amongst a river and all that, but it infuriates me, and it just makes me wish that the game sold itself more on its own merits, especially considering these are big franchises. Like, it feels like so much. It feels like so much garnish and chicanery.
Well, like, kind of like you were saying, for niche games or games that are just not super popular. Like, I remember back when Persona 3 Portable was coming out for PSP. I had to pre-order it in order to get a copy, because there was going to be no copies where I work. So I used to work at a video game store. And there were going to be no copies unless I pre-ordered one. So I pre-ordered one. We got 2 copies, and then both of them sold the day of. Of course, I bought one. And kind of another thing that you were speaking to is places like GameStop and Best Buy, they don't need these pre-orders, right? But like, I worked in a little, like, it used to be what Hollywood Video and Game Crazy were, but then when they closed down, this other company bought these guys, and I worked for the game side, and we had to get pre-orders to get a certain amount of copies of the games, because if we didn't have them, people were going to go across the street to GameStop to buy it there, and that was going to hurt our business. And
they're pushing that in order to keep the lights on. That makes sense.
Yeah, and we would actually put in extra effort that nobody would ask for our pre-orders and like midnight releases. Like, we made our own little benefits in the store to getting, like, hey, if you pre-order today, we give you a free rental, because we used to also rent out the games there. Hey, if you pre-order 2 games today, we're going to give you 50% off the next used game you buy.
Yeah.
Different things like that we just kind of made up on the fly sometimes. But then...
That's an individual store thing, though.
Yeah, it's like a small mom and grop shop, right? So
I actually do the same thing. There's actually a smaller chain store near me, and I go to them and try to get their stuff pre-ordered. And on the very rare occasion they cannot help, which is maybe like once in a blue moon, it's like, great, I guess I gotta go to GameStop and show my ugly mug in there. It's like, hey, you got this? Of course you do. Here's my money. Screw off.
Let me buy this sweet Green Lantern fidget spinner while I'm at it.
It actually happened to me when Neo launched. Like Neo, like nobody expected Neo to kind of blow up. So it was like very limited release. So I went to, it's called Play and Trade. It's a very small.
Dude, we used to have those here. That's so funny.
I love that store. I love the one near me. I love it to death. I went in and I found out they didn't get any copies in, and I'm like, darn it. Went to GameStop. They only brought in 2 copies, and I'm like, ring me up. And the I think the reason why I don't even deal with GameStop is in addition to the pre-order culture thing, they keep badgering me to renew my premium membership, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I got a better deal nearby.
Cool.
And Chicago GameStop is like the main place to go to. And there's so many different GameStops if you don't like one, because each GameStop in my city is different. Again, one GameStop may not have the game because it may not be popular in that like little area. Go to the one a few blocks away; they'll have so many of them.
What you do is you get them back at their own game, right? So Destiny 2, you got a pre-order, you get a beta code. I pre-ordered 3 copies of it to get 3 beta codes. One for me, one for my son, one for my friend.
Look at you.
Then I went in today, took all those pre-orders out, put it towards Dark Souls 3, came home with a game.
Yeah,
like, take that, GameStop.
The thing is, they know, and I think they're just like, all right, I respect
Well,
that.
they have to hit certain like numbers, I think, so they have to
obviously.
try to get pre-orders, which, you know, it's a business. That's kind of what you got to do. So let's move on to the next topic, which
I take a
is.
shower when it happens. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say what?
Okay.
You gotta take a
next
shower right
topic.
now.
No. I was just thinking about the. Yeah, it's a business. Yeah, it's a business practice. Makes me want to take a shower afterwards, but it's business.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not the worst business I've ever seen, but anyways, we're gonna move on to so season passes. This kind of goes along with pre-orders, right? So, and I'll kind of tell you my way of thinking on it. So, I just pre-ordered Call of Duty World War II, and I pre-ordered Destiny 2, the deluxe edition. So that got me. You know, I already basically paid for what's coming in the future, which, like, I mean, back in the day, you would buy a game and it would have everything. And now there's this thing where I just bought a game and I paid for other stuff that's going to be added in over the next year. So I basically paid $200 for 2 games just so that I don't have to pay for that crap later. And in a way, it kind of made me sick. But at the same time, I felt better because I was like, I don't have to worry about buying each map pack when it comes out.
I like doing that too. Oh my god.
But it's just like, it kills me inside because it's like, what game did I just recently buy? Horizon, right? For example, Horizon was a full game at $60. Yes, there's DLC. I'm probably not going to play it. But it's this thing where games with services like Destiny, like Call of Duty, they have built it into like, hey, here's $60 for the entry, and then you got to get the season pass if you want to keep playing with your friends later, because if not, you're going to be left out. It'll even mark it in red. This person does not have the map pack, and then you feel like a piece of garbage.
They're also inherently online experiences, so they push that you need to have the latest maps, you got to have the latest weapons in order for you to keep playing with the rest of the community. It's a level of sociological peer pressure in that respect as well. Yeah,
it's this weird thing, and I won't call out individually, but if you guys have your opinion on it, definitely speak up. The season pass thing is something I didn't do last year for or the year before that for Black Ops 3. But I still ended up buying all the map packs, and, maybe I could have saved $10, $15, but in my head, I wasn't going to play this game all year. And then this time I was like, I know I'm going to play it. I know I'm going to buy the map packs. I know I'm going to get the expansions. I might as well just, I have the money now. I'll buy it, and I'll save myself the trouble later. God, did I hate doing it.
Yeah, I like season passes because it brings me back to a game that I normally wouldn't go back to usually. So if Call of Duty comes out with a bunch of maps or something and I haven't bought the season pass, I'm not likely going to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm not likely going to go buy that individual expansion, that individual thing. It just won't happen.
Well, and
there's just too many games.
Yeah, and that stuff rarely goes on sale. Like when you see all the PS Plus sales, a lot of those items don't ever go on sale. They stay the same price. So it's just kind of weird.
There's some examples of it being good. I always thought that Siege did it well. And the Division even. I thought the Division did it well.
Yeah, that saved their game.
Yeah, where Siege just adds new operators every 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, and then all the maps are free, everything. So you were never left out if you didn't want to buy the season pass.
Yeah,
but
kind of like Overwatch, right? You know, they add maps for free, they add characters for free. The main
But
thing
then
they
Same thing with the League.
Yeah, but then there's the exact opposite. With actually very recently, EA announced that Battlefield 1 Revolution Edition. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Oh, I heard it announced. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's just people are furious because
fill us in. This is news to me.
Yeah, well, I guess that when Battlefield launched initially, there was the premium pass where you paid $110 before anything, and then you got access to all of this exclusive content to be like an exclusive EA member to this premium pass service. And then 6 months later, they announced this Revolution Edition, where it's essentially $60 for everything that those people paid 6 months ago for over $110.
Wow.
And people are furious because it was sold as this premium pass service that you would only get if you shelled out this $110. And then they didn't. Yeah, and then now in the summer, they're just like, yep, screw that. If it doesn't matter, we're just bringing everyone back in.
Now, do you think they're trying to get the people that didn't buy it back in before like Call of Duty and Destiny and all these other games drop?
Well, yeah, essentially, like with DLC and season passes, what they do is that they want as much money from you initially as they can get, because most of the sales come the first day or the first week, and then they take that money from the first couple weeks and reinvest it into other parts of their business. So they'll try and upsell you as much as possible within the first couple weeks.
Yeah, it sounds like
it's kind of
and from there, it's basically the stragglers.
Yeah, and then when it dies down, it's like the stragglers. Like, how can we get these guys in? It's like we don't really care about those other people now.
We're trying to bring some people in, and then they completely took a misstep on the people that had already come in.
Yeah, and it's
it feels particularly weird because I actually did like what I did play at Battlefield 1, but it was actually that initial, daunting price of the $50 premium pass. So this Revolution Edition actually sounds like something I would get in on if I were to put the time investment into play Battlefield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good package.
It makes sense, yeah.
Well, don't even go back to play Battlefield. Just wait for Call of Duty to come out, and it's like the same thing.
Call of Duty is terrible. I agree.
I honestly, I always have to defend Call of Duty just because.
Oh, me too. I love it.
It's bad, but it's fun. But honestly,
I understand
when I played,
why people like it. I'm not super hardcore in it. I feel like it's a series that needs to die, but at the same time, it seems
it can't die.
You know what? It can't really die.
For me, it jumped like 15 sharks by Modern Warfare 2 by my summation, so I just nah. No.
Honestly, like the demonstration I saw at E3 and then playing it at E3, it was like it actually like took me back a second. I'm like, this is awesome. Like they're actually doing some really cool stuff with.
I have heard intriguing things. I have heard intriguing things about the public beta or the private beta that's been going live. So I'm skeptical, but I do want to hear just how big of a change this is.
And I'll let you know for on September 1st because I'm gonna be playing it that day.
And for those who like single player, they got rid of regenerating health, so it's all health packs.
It's med packs,
med packs.
You have my attention.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing.
Well, to me, Battlefield is always that Battlefield is awesome. It's this huge skill war. It's like very long matches, but they're fun and they're epic, and you've got planes and all this stuff. Call of Duty was always like, I have 20 minutes before I gotta leave. To wherever the hell I'm going, I'm going to throw down like 3 matches right now. And then you go through, you hit every matches, you're done. So I think there's always room for both because they're both very different. But
it's like potato chips. You can eat a bunch of them, but you know for a fact it's not good for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought that like a lot of people always say like Call of Duty needs to die, and it's like there's too many of them. But it's
I wouldn't say die. I wouldn't say die.
Or go away for a while and come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of me has always said you should maybe take a year or so off and just reevaluate what the heck you're doing, because a lot of people thought.
Kid.
Yeah, but with a service like that big though, it's like when do you make that break? Because the other developer is already making the next Call of Duty. So like that's already in development, and then once this one comes out, the next one's already going to be in development.
Don't they have three? They have 3 studios all together working on.
Yeah, so it's like where do you stop it?
Just working on Call of Duty nonstop. I know it's so demanding, especially when you look at how they do the development cycles. It's like where do you slam the brakes on, and even then, how exactly will that benefit people? Because
and then what do you do with all those people?
Exactly, because like. This is kind of why I don't like when people keep saying Call of Duty needs to die. Even when I'm one of them, they think they need to take some time and improve upon the game. Except the studios working on them get a good like 3 years.
It's about a 3-year
it's a 3-year dev cycle. That's a healthy dev cycle. That's actually a pretty dev cycle. I think it's the issue of familiarity breeding contempt.
I also think that people, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people tend to forget the developer side of making games. They see the game and they think like, oh, this is a pile of shit. I don't want to play this.
On the one hand, I do understand that argument.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a consumer's priority should be the quality of the experience they get whenever they put in that $60 tickets.
Yeah, like you're allowed to be critical of a product, but especially if you're not like someone's not a Call of Duty fan. I guess that it's more of a job creator. It shouldn't be. It's a video game, don't want those devs, but it's more of a job. But I see Call of Duty more of a job creator than an actual video game.
So a lot of what brought this topic on was the Shadow of War thing that happened. So for those that don't know, there's basically microtransactions in Shadow of War to purchase items or war chests that give you orcs that could affect your ranking online or could affect the game. They can kind of push you forward in the game, progress you forward in parts of the game. So people are kind of mad about the fact that like they added extra padding so that you have to buy these things, or now the rankings all thrown off and unfair because people can spend money on the boxes and get orcs that are more powerful. So it's kind of brought up this huge conversation about loot boxes in general, microtransactions, and how they're being abused, and also if they're good for gaming.
I apologize in advance, Joel. I have some very strong opinions about this.
No, that's don't apologize. That's what we need you for.
But I don't want to steal any of the limelights. I'm very
loot boxes was the final part of this. So I figured it would probably take the most time, which is why I kind of saved it for last. Mainly because I know Steph plays Overwatch, and when I play Overwatch and I get those loot boxes, I'm really freaking happy. But yeah, let's talk about it. Go, Tyler, go for it.
Oh, where could I even start with this? For me, loot boxes being put into major games has actually soured a lot of my enjoyment of certain games. Like I brought this up several times. I appreciate Overwatch. I love what Blizzard made with Overwatch. I like the game. I like the characters. I like how they're supporting it. But every single time I load up that game and play a couple of matches, and my reward for my investment is a loot box that may or may not give me something decent, always gives me fury, because it's not a progression system. Like I enjoy a game rewarding me for my time invested, and I want that to feel like an achievement and not like getting another go at a slot machine. And that's why I always feel like how loot boxes operate. It stopped me from picking up Injustice 2. I love Injustice. I love NetherRealm's work. I love what they did with the fighting game. I didn't want to see how they put loot box RPG mechanic stuff into their fighters. I didn't want to deal with that. And I kept telling myself, it's multiplayer, whatever. I hate that it's become normalized, but not much else I can say now, because people keep using the "it's just cosmetic" argument, and part of me wants to die inside. It's a silly argument. But then Shadow of War does it, and I'm like, this is a single-player game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You are actively taking a game whose entire selling point is you being able to create your own army of orcs to wage a sort of inside war against Sauron of Mordor.
The only multiplayer-ish aspect of it is that there's an online leaderboard for it.
There's an online leaderboard for one, and also that whole thing. I think there's also sort of a hands-off like RPG tower defense thing where you fight against other people as well. And I'm like, okay, now you've made it blatantly clear this is entirely here just to milk you for cash. Like, I'm being serious. It's the most blatantly, nakedly put in thing ever since those consumable microtransactions in Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which was also a crock of crap, by the way. And the minute I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm not touching Shadow of War. You have lost yourself a sale because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to see how they have, implemented every single bit of psychological pressure ever to get you to buy a loot box for a single player game that I don't want to have that pressure with. And then a bunch of people are going to say, oh, you don't have to. It doesn't affect the game at all. When everything I know from research I've done on multiple articles I've written in the past about this very practice says the exact opposite of this.
Yeah. As soon as that came out, I already looked at Shadow of War and I said, I will wait for you in the bargain bin, sir.
Yeah, it's a terrible precedent to set. Honestly, like I was looking forward to Shadow of War so much. I was and honestly, I am not buying this game. I was gonna buy this game, and I'm not buying this game, and I'm not gonna, because the only way to show developers that this isn't okay and you can't do this in every game or set this precedent is to show them with your wallet, right? Like, don't buy a game.
I've always been of the mind of that, but what really aggravates me, though, is that there's a level of complacency amongst the player base where they basically mimic the exact same statements. It's just cosmetic, you don't have to, except by the very nature of them putting this system into the game, the developers had to implement ways in order to pressure you to buy. Because if there really is no pressure, the entire system, the entire shop is useless. Meaning, once again, if you actually dig a little bit, like seriously, just pull up microtransaction psychology in a Google search, and you'll find a bunch of stuff. Probably the most comprehensive I found was from the Huffington Post. Mm-hmm. If you find this sort of stuff, you realize that everything about how the game is designed is pressuring you to buy. It's the exact same, freemium have and have not, psychology that's been used in free to play games. And whenever I play a single-player game and pay $60 for that, I am paying for an experience I know and hope is self-contained. Because I want that progression. I want that. Sometimes I want that RPG grind. You mentioned that before. Yeah. Sometimes I want an experience that rewards me by investing time and putting my effort into it. I do not want to be, nickel and dimed. I do not want that part of me. And even if you do that, don't charge me $60 and a season pass on top of all that. It is gross. Like, if you're gonna do that, make it free to play, or any other kind of addition at all. The very bile I have for the system is making me cough up a lung.
Yeah. I was dying because of Shadow of War.
It was beyond frustrating to me.
I was looking up the Shadow of War thing because I don't know too much.
Well, it's too much. It's like you get XP boosts and stuff like that. It's like, at what point does the XP to level up and stuff like that become a grind because they want you to buy the loot boxes, right?
Alternatively, there could also be instances where, because you got super duper lucky with the RNG for whatever freak-tastic reason, the game becomes unchallenging.
Yeah.
You effectively have destroyed your own progression curve, your own sense of scale and escalation, because you want somebody to fork over an extra $100 for a premium legendary orc or something. And for the record, Shadow of War also has a season pass that includes a bunch of gold war chests. So they're trying to get you in on that early by saying, "Hey, you don't also want to miss out with the story content." Like,
honestly, I have to not buy this game. It's like,
like with multiplayer, it's sort of normalized, and people have kind of already more or less just said it's a thing. But with single player, like, it's amazing how they did not look at Mankind Divided Deus Ex and not see it to be a big problem. I mean, seriously,
was there microtransactions in Deus Ex?
Yeah, that was one of the big things that people.
I honestly beat Deus Ex without killing anyone and no alarms, and I never knew there was microtransactions.
Mankind Divided actually microtransactions into it, where if you could like pay them like $2 or $3 for I'm not kidding here, praxis points, ammo, and other consumable items.
Oh, what?
and once you use them up. You didn't get any more of them. I am not kidding. You could effectively like pay $20, get a crap load of practice points at the beginning, and become overpowered and just snooze through the game. Square Enix put those additions in at the very last second, and I'm of the mind that it made the game inherently worse for it. And that's my exact same mind when I'm of the same mind when it comes to Shadow of War. Like, this was clearly, maybe like very last second, maybe like the last couple of months of production, and they threw it in because hey, we can catch some whales with this bait.
I've honestly never seen a game go from having such insanely positive press from a first gameplay showing to weeks later just having such negative press.
Well, like the first one was good, and it had no business being as good as it was, and people loved it for it.
Yeah.
And then for them to come out and kind of like, for the people that don't want to spend too much time doing all the extra stuff or grinding in the game, which sounds like what they did. They added a lot more padding so that you have to purchase these loot boxes or whatever. It hurt those people.
That is actually an argument I do hear that for multiplayer games with long progression, that there are certain people that should have at least that option for people who don't have a whole lot of time to play a whole lot of games anymore, and they still want to experience as much of the content as they can, and they're willing to shell out some money occasionally for a shortcut every now and then.
Yeah, which Call of Duty kind of does that with their
I see that argument.
Yeah,
I see that argument. It's
there's
weird
some OP
because
weapons out there that cause people to just mow you down. So if you can throw a few bucks at it and possibly get it too, because you're not spending all this time playing it, that's that can be kind of seen as okay, but that's kind of the problem is you allow some and not all. That's where it kind of
But in that very example, you're touching on something that's very close to becoming a pay-to-win economy, and that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is the way the industry is. It's kind of like if one can't have it, then the rest shouldn't, and if one can, then the rest should, and it just kind of creates this. I think it's just that people are trying to walk the line of not abusing it and abusing it to make money.
Part of me almost wants to like take major developers by the ear and just say stop it and just go back to brass tacks, just because some of it.
Yeah, I wish no one did it.
Remember the days of that cartridge, and that's all you had. If it had a bug, you couldn't fix it. It's all you had is that cartridge. Do you remember that?
I do miss that. Like, I at the same time, I do love just how much games have progressed with updates and ongoing services and in downloadable content and patches. Like, I like that. I do appreciate that. But at the exact same time, I'd rather that be a creative decision, something that's in the hands of the developers and not done to cynically change something from the publisher. And that's basically me. When it comes to these sort of decisions, I want to be on the side of the developer. Like, I don't know what Compulsion Games was thinking when they did the deal for We Happy Few with Gearbox Software, but I bet anything it was to ensure they could get that game out to as large of an audience as possible with the brand recognition of Gearbox.
If you don't know what the reason is, it's all about money.
Well, and it could be the fact that, hey, they have people they need to make sure are taken care of, like money-wise. They got employees.
Like I said, like I wish them all the best. It's just part of me feels somewhat betrayed by because when I was back to We Happy Few, when I pre-bought that, I was expecting a smaller, much more focused, experience that I knew what it wanted to be and wasn't trying to appeal to the masses. And now suddenly it's a $60 AAA game with a season pass and everything else, and suddenly lowest common denominator has to be appealed to in order to put the books back in the red. And like, oh dear.
Now, I have a question about that. I don't really know. I heard about it, like getting that AAA treatment, but do you still get the game since you pre-purchased it? Like, is it still technically you have the game?
I believe I do. I believe I still get a full version of the PC version on GOG whenever it comes out. But
kind of like Ark. Like Ark came out.
Ark Survival Evolved.
It was what was it in early access, and I bought it for like I think $20 on a Steam sale, and now it's a $60 game on console.
I do want to check that out. All the same, I do want to check out Ark because
get it on PC.
The weird thing about We Happy Few is that it was a survival game, right? And then now it's not.
Actually, it's really weird because Compulsion, the build I played was basically was basically a bare bones gameplay vertical slice. Like it was supposed to be like one of those like narrative focus games, like first person perspective narrative focus with survival and stealth elements being part of the gameplay experience. But when I was playing it, they basically only had like the intro, and then said, "Oh, by the way, the plot will basically be introduced later on because you don't want to give away the story spoilers, and you'll just help us with the fundamentals, the world, the crafting, the survival mechanics, and how to work with the metrics of that." So technically it has the flavor of survival game, but it's also building itself as a sort of, I hate to use the phrase, a sort of BioShock-ish,
whoa.
first-person narrative perspective.
Excuse me.
Dang it,
Yes, Steph?
Tyler.
You started it. Now we got to strap in. Here we go.
Yes, Steph?
Excuse me? What do you mean you hate to compare it?
Every single time I hear somebody talk about a narrative-focused, first-person perspective game, they always say, "Oh, it's like BioShock," and
maybe BioShock just happens to be the staple. Every game
It's like
happens to be the
Half-Life 2.
staple. Half-Life 2,
the modern staple, maybe, and I
yeah, it's the modern staple. That's the main thing people are going to think about. They're not going to think about the game from 1987, unfortunately, because that's not the main.
Dragon
For sure. What's BioShock though?
Kyle, run.
No, Kyle, come here.
Oh no. So Kyle's gonna be gone.
I have a passport now, so I could go to Canada.
Now that I think back, the only other season pass I've ever purchased was for BioShock Infinite on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And I never played anything else other than the main story campaign.
That actually is another comment that I did we kind of slipped past when it came to season passes. Like for me a season pass has to be scheduled properly. Like you're expecting me to pay like $30 or $40 down the line. How do I know exactly what I'm getting out of that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have a situation like, I don't know, the Batman Arkham Knight season pass where it's like $30 worth of costumes and maybe like a little bit of story later on. Or do you have something like, I don't know, I think the closest thing to a season pass I actually enjoyed, I think, was the season passes done by Nintendo, Breath of the Wild and the Hyrule Warriors games, because when I bought that, I'm like, okay, because when you buy it, they have a schedule saying like, okay, the next bit of content is going to come out this date. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. You're going to get this. And the next date, you're going to get this. You're going to get that. You're going to get this. And I appreciate that a lot more rather than saying, okay, you're going to get DLC, because there are a few studios that imply that the season pass is all the content that's coming, and then they release more content later, like the first Injustice. Like, season pass, oh, it's all the DLC fighters, and they release 2 more DLC fighters once the pass concluded. It's like, you.
Cool.
So, just had to throw my 2 cents in there. Back to microtransactions.
Yeah, I can't think of a. Oh, you know what? I just used a microtransaction today when I bought more Pokeballs for Pokemon Go. Look at me.
I'm free
I
to
would
play.
like to say a few things about microtransaction.
Oh, go
You
for
have the
it.
floor.
Yeah.
And all that loot box and stuff, because I was just waiting. It's going to be a long rant. So,
Cover your heads, everybody.
about the Overwatch thing, it's going to be long, so I hope
All right, I'm gonna take a nap.
no interruption. So a lot of people actually did point out about the Overwatch thing because their algorithm was messed up. So within the latest patch with the summer games, they actually did fix the algorithm. So it's not just like a box full of sprays and all that. But
And yet somehow I got like 6
Tyler.
boxes full of sprays.
Oh, throwing shade.
Tyler.
Continue.
I'm just saying.
But how well did you play the game? That's what I'm about to say. Depending on how you personally did well on how you did the game, because that's what I noticed. If I did shit during the game, you're not going to get as many good stuff. If you did fantastic during the game, like show that you've improved, you do better things. I'm just like, all right, maybe it's just a fluke. I actually did a whole full, like in one of my streams, a whole study about this. And sure as shit, that's what it seems to be. So analyze how well it's not just a whole team.
What was your sample size?
My sample is I did 53 kills, died maybe 4 times. And
So your sample size is you.
you sample like yourself, and then I saw how well my other friends did, even though they're like way lower levels than me.
How many friends did you take for this study?
10.
This scientific study? 10. Okay, so it's
I got 10 people that I play with. I want to say friends.
okay. Okay,
Hey,
that's
you said
relatively small
you didn't have
size.
friends, liar. How dare
Yeah,
you
Blizzard
betray
actually
us.
did this.
Did we actually all have friends? But I analyzed, like, I saw some of their streams, and I was just like, hey, guys, I'm gonna need you to, hey, I think I figured out this algorithm so you just don't get a box full of, bullshit.
I could see that working. I could see that being a thing that they did, because there's a lot of people that just sit in a team and just kind of play.
Yeah, and there's that
not
one
in a great
person who's
way.
like in the lowest level.
Yeah, and they're all getting loot boxes.
Yeah, while he's sitting or like just goofing around while other people do the work, and that's what they fixed in the algorithm. I still
say the sample size is a bit too small, and based on anecdotal evidence, I'm not finding it to be watered, because I got like.
Well, what's your level? Tell me your level.
I was gonna say, that's gonna suck for me. I'm never gonna get a loot box.
my current level at the time of writing, which is based off of very low overall.
When was the last time you played Overwatch?
Two days ago, and it was a pretty long.
Before the summer games.
The anniversary event.
Oh my god!
Right, so there's a little bit of a jump. Another reason why I noticed this is because I do watch people like, there's this one woman. She's known as Mortimer. She does this kitty cat gaming. She buys 100 loot boxes. She's close
poor
with
woman.
She's actually friends with Matt Mercer and all the other voice actors and people who are in Blizzard. And before, she'd be pissed because she's like, I spent all this money and there are like so many dupes and you guys need to fix the algorithm. But I'm about to go on a super long tangent. So
can I chime in really quick on this? I think in regards to duplicate items, I think that's a big problem with Overwatch's loot boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And Blizzard actually changed theirs recently for Hearthstone.
Oh, that's what I was just about to say. They changed it for Hearthstone, and
where every 10 packs of the new expansion or expansion you haven't opened packs for, you'll get a legendary.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll never get a duplicate legendary that you've already gotten before.
They just updated it in it.
Ever. So that's pretty awesome.
Right now, as I said, I'm not going to be a bitch, but no interruptions through this whole entire debacle.
I really hate to say it, Steph. This is actually coming off as a bit esoteric, but
what's esoteric? I actually don't know that word.
Look it up. I don't have time. I don't have time to explain words. Sorry.
All right, Seb, go ahead and go for your rant, and then I'll end the show there.
Okay. But they did change. So again, loot boxes, it is more for the aesthetic things. I get why people are like, oh, it's just for aesthetic. Tyler?
Go ahead.
But I am agreeing with you, Tyler, because I'm just like, yeah, but that's the fun of the game. It's stupid, but it's fun. Non-source stuff. But again, Blizzard actually did listen, and they did their own studies for this type of stuff. The fact that they changed the algorithm, because they know people will get bored of the gameplay in general, which is why they sprinkled in these loot boxes, which is why games like League actually added loot boxes because of Overwatch and other different games as well. Also, it's it's a stupid, fun little thing, and I know there's so many people that don't play it on the regular basis like me. They only play it during the different events. That's fine. That's how you play. Go. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. But Blizzard is actually really gotten a lot better. As I say, I tested it with the friends. I tested it on my own. I'm just like, all right. Mortimer bought those 100 again. She brought her husband to her room and the friend who play Overwatch as well. They're just like, all right, I heard they changed the algorithm. Let's see if they did. She actually got every single summer event, minus a few little sprays.
Good for her.
Any dupes, all that stuff. Fantastic. But again, this is her job, is to do the source stuff, so she kind of can afford it. Not everyone can afford 100, but again, it's also her choice. But do loot boxes cause people to play a game? Of course. Aesthetics are going to bring people in. Is it a stupid way to bring people in? Of course, but it's fun. Don't get me wrong. How much money have I spent on League just for Star Guardian skins? So fucking much. But what's the reason why? It brings me joy. It makes the game fun for me. A lot of people I don't find that enjoyment. I think that's just extra stuff. That's fine. I'm just yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to force you to see the benefit in it because realistically, there is no benefit. It's just a fun costumes. It makes the game sometimes fun or not for the other people.
You've made that very, very, very clear, and I can see that argument. I do. I can see that. Having said that, my problem is I wish there was a bit more of a tangible reward for it rather than it being still RNG. But that's what I expect from a game. That's what I want.
What kind of tangible thing do you mean? Use a specific example.
A physical object that they mail to.
Well, I think it depends on the game.
Let me think. Actually, in terms of proper Overwatch thing, let's say every now and then when you do better with a certain hero, there's a chance for a specific item or something small for that hero. Let's say a line or an emote. And as you continue to improve and possibly hit something higher, maybe in the level of competitive play, you unlock a special kind of highlight or an emote of some kind.
And that has happened to me.
Yeah, you see, for me, I enjoy playing a Sombra, I like being that instigator, being that aggravator, and the only way I could have found a level of reward for it from the Summer Games event was I took the 3,000 coins I had, which I was trying to grind to pick up Sentai Genji for Anniversary, and I just bought the Summer Games Sombra skin because despite me getting a string of victories and wins across the Summer Games events, even though I was with a bunch of pub players that couldn't tell their butt from a hole in the ground, I was getting crap from the loot boxes I was getting. I said, screw it. 3,000 coins, give me Sombra and a scuba suit, and I'll see.
Now, were you basing that on if you won the game, or were you analyzing your own personal play?
Personal improvement and personal scores, because honestly, I was carrying that darn team. The problem was I wasn't using a carry.
Are you talking about the kill score,
objectives played, objective played, because it's an objective based game. I'm not talking about kill death ratio. I know that's the thing, though. I know I'm asking for a whole lot because when you're talking about that kind of level of algorithm, I know for a fact there's plenty of people that would find a way to cheat that or try to abuse that, play crap at first and then bump
no matter what game, there's always going to be someone.
There's always going to be a cheat. There's always going to be an exploit. It's just that I wish there was something more to it than it just being a roll of the dice. You're talking to somebody that really doesn't like games of chance. I get screwed over a lot when it comes to anything that's relegated to RNG. So this is something that I will say is a very personal element. And it's also why despite a lot of people kind of giving Bungie a lot of crap, I do appreciate they give you some level of tangible reward for playing and accomplishing stuff in their games like Destiny, which even though that game does a certain level of RNG with their treasure in the Eververse store, that's still a small element of the game, and because there's a much more satisfying progression feedback loop, I'm fine with it. With Overwatch, it's just that, and for me personally, as a personal player, it's not something that I find engaging. And you bring up some good counterpoints, Steph. I'm not invalidating any of that at all. But
I know you weren't.
Of course not. You'd bite my head off.
Does it sound like you both kind of agree?
And we do agree. It's just little stuff. I just personally think Overwatch just really isn't the whole nitty, and the small aspects of the game. You just want your main little treats, but you don't want to play it super. It's just not the super hardcore game for you as it is for others, which I can't see. Everyone has those games, obviously.
Yeah, and Overwatch does a better job than others to fix things like that.
It does a better job to please other type of players.
But I need to end our show because I know Kyle's got to go, and we're at about an hour. But I don't know, any last thoughts anybody wants to give real quick?
A little bit on the season passes. More of a money situation. If I do the same thing as Joel, I'll buy in a bulk just so I don't do it later. It'll hurt. But my main thing is do the math when they are going to do season pass. If it's cheaper to buy in bulk, do it. But if individually it's still the same, then just buy them individually. If that makes sense.
I think for me, one thing I did was I wasn't sure if I was gonna play the game a year from now, because, like, for example, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, didn't think I'd be playing it 2 years after release because of Advanced Warfare, or not Advanced Warfare, yeah, Infinite Warfare, there we go. But I ended up jumping back in on it, and I didn't have one of the map packs, and I was like, damn, next time I'm just gonna get the season pass, and that's what I did this time. But
actually, if I also do want to add a small addendum to season pass. Like, Steph, you were kind of touching on this a little bit, talking about your other streamers who dedicate themselves to playing games like Overwatch, and they can put that time investment in. I actually did pre-order the season pass for I actually bought the deluxe edition for Destiny 2, because I know that's a game I'm going to be putting a lot of time into, and because I actually have a community there. So there is a precedent for, just knowing how much of your time is going to be put there.
Yeah.
When it comes to a game you really want a lot of time with. So don't think I'm just some guy that just doesn't like to spend a whole lot of money. Like
Who does?
And there are actually situations where buying the season pass, you buy it in like anticipation for a new game coming out or an expansion, then the expansion gets bigger than the developer thought. So they have to end up charging more for that.
Kind of like Uncharted.
Individual. Yeah, like
Uncharted. Fallout 4
got it.
Pass.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is a great example. Like Uncharted, like they end up charging more. So like in the end, you're saving money. So it's a toss up.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm gonna call it a podcast. Thanks a lot for being here. My guests, of course, were Steph, Tyler, and Kyle. And my name is Joel, and you could find us here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. For Live with the Game Fanatics. Head over to thegamefanatics.com and check out all the articles, reviews, and we start posting the videos there as well. So as soon as they go up on YouTube, you'll see an article for them on the website. Go there, follow the channels, give us a thumbs up on YouTube, and come back next week and watch us again live.
Bye.
Go play some games.